We already know that a new Power Rangers movie is in development that is going to start the reboot of the franchise, and this is the perfect opportunity to revive these superheroes. Due to the failure that the 2017 movie had, it is very important that Paramount has some very necessary things for this new universe to succeed. We are going to mention 10 things that the producers must do for the new Power Rangers movie to succeed and not miss this great opportunity. All the things we are going to mention are important, but we are going to mention them from the least important to the most important. Number 10, lots of promotion. Anyone can have a great product in their hands, but if people don't know that the product exists, then they can't sell it. All the successful movies have had excellent promotion and sometimes they have done very creative things, but the important thing is that everybody knows that a new movie is coming out. We have had the experience on this very channel that sometimes there are people who have not heard about very important news about Power Rangers even though that news has been all over the internet. There are people who live quite disconnected from everything, and the promotion of the movie must be so good that it must reach even those people who are disconnected from everything. Number 9, theming. One of the big mistakes of the 2017 movie is that they didn't know how to show a concrete theme since it was supposed to be the mighty Morphin, but the only thing that showed the prehistoric animal theme were the Zords, and, even so, it was a design disaster. The theme of a Power Rangers team has always been vital to the story, and it is from the theme that the costume designs, powers, Zords, transformations, and many other things come from. A team without a theme is a team that has no direction and that turns them into something generic. Theming manages to reinforce important moments as it sometimes provokes epic moments, and this is because we fans can identify with that power. I will give you an example so you can better understand. In the 1995 movie we could see that the theme was the animals when the Rangers searched for the new power. That moment when the power transforms into animal figures was super epic and at the same time connected the fans as we all started to identify with those animals. Some wanted to have the bravery of the falcon, some wanted to have the ferocity of the wolf, and some just wanted to have the power of the toad. Number 8, essence. This is one of the most overlooked things in reboots that have been a failure, and this could be noticed in the 2017 movie. Essence is something very complicated to understand, but at the same time everyone can recognize it when it is not in the product. Essence is what makes something unique and special, something that makes it different from other things. Some of the things that for me are part of the essence of Power Rangers are the transformations, the Zord battles, the epic weapons, and the action sequences. If we analyze more deeply, in the 2017 movie we didn't have an official transformation, we only had the first transformation in a very different way and not the typical way in which the Rangers mention their power. We know you have to modify some things, but you can't completely destroy that kind of thing, and it's just that these Rangers didn't even use their Morphin. Number 7, special effects. We all know that Power Rangers has always had low-budget special effects, and this was a positive thing that the 2017 movie had as their effects were spectacular. Any movie that has terrible special effects has a great chance of failing, and that is because when the effects don't look good, the audience is disconnected from the story. The special effects are created to make us believe that this fantasy world is real, and this makes us connect with all the drama that is happening at that moment. If the special effects fail, then we disconnect because we start to think that everything is fake and the interest in the movie decreases. The worst part is that the movie starts to become a mockery, and then it is very difficult to convince the audience to watch another new project. Number 6, a new audience. Although Power Rangers is very famous, The reality is that the fans that still consume this franchise are few. Power Rangers is very famous because in 1993 it was a total success, and it is for this reason that all adults know about these superheroes, but that does not mean that they are interested in seeing a movie of this franchise. Many of these people don't know anything about what is happening with the franchise, and this means that they also don't know that the new movie is going to be directed towards a more mature audience. All of these people may think that the new movie is only for a child audience, since that has been the audience for Power Rangers since 1993. This is why the producers must find a way to advertise that this reboot is for a more mature audience, and in this way they can gain a new audience. We must understand that although there are many Power Rangers fans, the reality is that we are too small a group to be able to build a franchise, and we need more people to consume the new projects so that the monetary investment can be recovered. Number 5. Mature style. Although we have often talked about the dark style that the new Power Rangers universe should have, I think the best way to describe it is a mature style. This means that the style doesn't necessarily have to be dark, but it should be a serious style that is interesting enough for adults. Because Power Rangers has always been for a children's audience, the style it has always had has been very colorful and suitable for that type of audience. If we compare the style of Power Rangers with the style of Marvel, we will realize the big difference between the two universes. Marvel doesn't have a dark style, but they do have a more mature style, even though they include colorful projects and silly comedy. Number 4. Famous actors. Let's be honest, all the big superhero projects have included famous actors, and having those actors has many advantages for any project. When a famous actor appears in a movie, it reassures the audience that the movie is more likely to be a good movie. In addition to this, many of the famous actors have become famous for their great acting work, so obviously a great performance is going to help the movie a lot. It would be terrible if the new movie had good special effects, fulfilled the essence, had a great style, had an excellent promotion, and had a perfect theme, but in the end the bad acting of the actors ruined all of that. We know that having famous actors is very complicated because you have to pay them a lot of money, it is difficult to coordinate filming dates, it is complicated to bring them for a second or third movie, and some of these actors have no humility at all, but despite this it is worth having these actors for the great work they do. Number 3. The costumes. This is something we've talked about many times, and soon in another video we're going to break it down for this new movie. The costumes are a super important part in Power Rangers, and in the 2017 movie they didn't get it. The costumes should show the theme of the team, and each costume should be different. As much as I love the material they used for the 2017 costumes, the reality is that they didn't show any theme and they all looked the same. There are many artists who have created spectacular costumes, and you can tell they used different materials. If they want the Rangers to be suitable for a more mature audience, then they can't use the same materials and should create more epic costumes. Number 2. A great villain. Superheroes are important, but the villain is the other 50% of the story, and without a good villain the story is worthless. If you want a hero to be epic, then you must give him a villain that is epic as well. This villain must be original, he must have valid reasons why he wants to fight, and he must have a great backstory. One of the best villains of these modern times was Thanos, and he fulfilled all the necessary details to be a great villain. Thanos had such valid reasons to destroy half of the population that even some people think the same way. This great villain started out humiliating the mightiest heroes, he has a great life story and was extremely difficult to defeat. When Thanos was defeated, we could start to love the heroes more as we saw everything they had to work hard to be able to win the battle, and this is what should happen with Power Rangers. The 2017 Rita was a great villain as she fulfilled all the details needed to be one, but her problem was that she was portraying a character that already existed, and they were nothing similar. Number 1. Action and drama. This is the great combination that Power Rangers has always had, and they have to give us a balance of both. If you give us too much drama and not enough action, the movie doesn't work, but if you give us too much action and not enough drama, then it won't work either. Everything has to be balanced, as obviously we all expect the Rangers to have a lot of battles, but we also expect them to have a very dramatic story. This was the worst mistake the 2017 movie made, as even though the drama was pretty good, we had to wait until the end to get to see some action. However, in the 30th anniversary special episode, they did the right thing and started with a super epic battle and then started with the drama. This is the right combination: start everything with a lot of action, then give us drama with some other action moments, and at the end they should give us the best action moment. Precisely this was the key to the success of the 1995 movie, because at all times it was a constant change between drama and action, and it is for this reason that we never get bored. The Power Rangers franchise has been waiting for a reboot for a long time, and due to many setbacks and cancellations, this has been a bit difficult for many fans. For now, what we know is that there will supposedly be a new movie in 2026 created by Paramount, and there is a possibility that it will be a new universe aimed for a more mature audience. When trying to start a different path for a different age audience, then the whole style must change, and this includes the costumes. In Power Rangers, the costumes are one of the most important things, as they are part of the essence of the franchise and function as inspiration for all the fans. The Rangers' costumes mean a connection between these characters and all the fans, so creating the right costumes is key for this new project to be successful. One of the worst criticisms that the 2017 movie received were the costumes, as despite being excellent costumes for a superhero, the reality is that they were not suitable for a Power Ranger. Power Ranger costumes should have some very specific details that are what make the Rangers different from other superheroes. These details make them original, and it is for this reason that any fan can know that any character is a Power Ranger despite not having seen that season. We must begin by saying that Power Rangers teams must have a theme, since this will define the complete style of the costume, weapons, helmets, and powers. With the theme we will be able to identify the style of the costume design, and because the 2017 movie did not have such a defined theme, then the design style they used was pretty generic. It is known that that movie was a Mighty Morphin reboot, and the theme of this team is prehistoric animals, but this was not the style that the costumes reflected. These 2017 costumes look like a 5 alien warrior style, and all 5 costumes were very similar, not much different. This is another important detail, as each Ranger should have some noticeable differences so that fans can choose their favorite, and this creates a connection with the audience. After they have chosen the theme, then they must start choosing the costume materials, and this is one of the most important parts. For 30 years almost all Power Rangers costumes have been created with the same material, a flexible fabric, and some elements simulated stronger materials, but the main material was spandex. We know that this material allows the actors to have better movement and more flexibility to be able to film all the battles, but the reality is that the superhero does not look powerful with this kind of material. We have always made the comparison with other superheroes whose costumes are created with other materials that make the hero look very powerful, and yet the actors can still film their fight scenes. We know that some of these scenes are computer modified, and some costumes are made or renovated in CGI, but costumes can be made of good materials without relying on digital effects. The best proof of this are the 1995 costumes, spectacular costumes that used a different material that makes the Rangers look very powerful and at the same time as real heroes. The budget of this movie was very little, and supposedly the budget of the new movie is going to be $150 million, so they should make a good investment in the costumes. After they have chosen the theme and the materials, then they should start creating the designs of each costume, and it is that the best option is to create each costume as something different. This does not mean that the costumes are completely different. This means that each costume has things that make it something original and distinguish it from the other costumes. In many teams they used the helmet for that original detail, as the suits made them all the same, but each Ranger's helmet made it completely different. This has worked for many years, but I think, if they want to do something on another level, then they should make each suit have something different. The most important thing in all of this is the design, because after you have chosen a good theme and the right materials, then the design of each costume is going to be vital. Sometimes the design can be simple, but if it has the right details with the right materials, then the costume is going to look awesome. We don't know yet if they are going to use an old team to create a reboot of that team, or if maybe they are going to create a new team for this new universe. There are many designers who have created spectacular designs using the teams we already know, and this is an example that great designs can be created using the right materials. Carlos is one of my favorite designers, and we have talked about his designs before, but it seems like a good time to show again some of his most spectacular work. This Mighty Morphin Red Ranger costume is proof that with a simple design you can create a spectacular costume by using the right materials. Obviously Carlos' design is far from simple, but remember that the original idea of the Mighty Morphin team was very simple. Carlos used the original Mighty Morphin design as a starting point and managed to create a new design with more details and better materials. Another of this designer's creations were these Mighty Morphin costumes, and here he gave them a different style. The material he used also looks different, but it still looks like a resistant and powerful material. This design is simpler. It includes only the rhombus on the chest, and the other details were made with the same material of the suit. Another image that Carlos created is this one, a perfect example to understand that just changing the material of the suit creates a very different visual effect. This design is almost the same as the original design of the Red Ranger, it only has some changes, and the material is completely different. Just by changing the material of the suit, the Ranger looks more serious and looks like a superhero for a more mature audience. This style is darker and, for example, could be part of any DC Comics movie. Another designer that we have mentioned and that you all probably already know is Takuya Tokuje. This designer has tried to be more faithful to the original designs and has only added some very important details to the costumes. In addition to this, he has also changed the materials of the costumes, and this has been the most impressive part. These costumes have incredible textures, and possibly this is what the public liked the most. The best example is Zio's suits, since he added a texture to the suits that goes very well with the theme of the series, and this makes the Rangers look very different. Another detail that he added to these suits is that some parts light up, and this may be one of the things in which they have to use the CGI. One of the craziest designs were the Power Rangers turbo suits, as he used a material that looks like metal, and this is because the theme of the series is cars. These costumes may be a bit complicated to create in real life, but this is precisely the challenge that costume designers must have for all these fantasy movies. Let's make a brief comparison between the Red Ranger costume that Carlos created and the Red Ranger costume from the 2017 movie. With this comparison, you can notice that Carlos' design has all the essence of Power Rangers, since that costume looks like a real ranger, and it is not because the design is based on the original costume, but because it has details more similar to the theme of the series. With the artificial intelligence, we have created some designs ourselves, and because the artificial intelligence uses part of other designs, then these suits have all the essence of the Power Rangers. These costumes look like good materials, they are spectacular designs and would look great for any Power Rangers project aimed at a more mature audience. One of the important parts of tokusatsu is giants and megazords, since that is what tokusatsu is all about. One day the producer of Cosmic Fury said that Power Rangers will be successful if they move away from tokusatsu, and we all think that is a mistake. One of the things that Power Rangers fans love are the Zords, and we always have that curiosity of how the Zords of each new team will look like. It is for this reason that we were all so disappointed in the 2017 movie, as those Zords had a terrible design despite having a good CGI. One of the things that was being talked about in the rumors of the plans for the first reboot with Netflix was that supposedly the Rangers were not going to have Zords, and from this topic we got a lot of theories. If this rumor had been true, then it is likely that they wanted to eliminate the Zords due to the high cost involved in creating them, and perhaps this is why they wanted to get that big weight off their shoulders. We can even think as a theory that maybe the cancellation of that first reboot was to have ideas like that and maybe other crazier ideas. The reality is that separating Power Rangers from tokusatsu is crazy, and we know that this idea was thinking of all those people who are not used to seeing giant fights. We all know that Power Rangers must reach a wider audience if they want to lift the franchise, and obviously all of this new audience are not Power Rangers fans, but this doesn't mean that they can't understand tokusatsu. In one of the episodes of the Marvel animated series, they gave us an entire episode with some elements of tokusatsu, and this has a lot of meaning. Marvel is a franchise that, despite sometimes doing lousy things, the reality is that they always have a plan for almost everything. This franchise recognizes that tokusatsu is a format that has a lot of fans, so possibly the problem is not tokusatsu. The one element of tokusatsu that Power Rangers should abandon is repetitive episodes, and they should move in the same style that Transformers has. This giant robot franchise has many tokusatsu-like elements, and although it is not categorized as tokusatsu, the reality is that the resemblance is obvious. Now we come to the key point in this whole conversation, and that is that the company that is creating the Transformers movies is Paramount. Hasbro and Paramount have been working together for a long time, since Hasbro are the owners and Paramount are the creators of the movies. It is for this reason that I have long told you several times that it made the most sense for Paramount to take over the reboot, and now we are seeing that Hasbro is taking this path. Paramount has already created giant robots, taken a franchise that was only seen by fans, and is now a franchise that has reached different audiences that have never seen Transformers before. Exactly this is what Power Rangers needs, and while many Transformers fans have said that they have changed some things from the original series, new fans know nothing about it. In the case of Power Rangers, it's a little different because, being a reboot, then the new writers have the opportunity to create something totally new and different. This means that they have a great deal of freedom, but they can't take a path where they abandon the core things of the franchise. One of these things is the Zords, as this is a fundamental part of Power Rangers, and this is why it was so important how much of an impact the 2017 designs had. I am sure that if those designs had been spectacular, it is very likely that fans would have forgotten about many other negative things that happened in that movie. Even in the 1995 movie, the CGI of the Zords was terrible, but because the design of every Zord was perfect, fans didn't care about the CGI. It goes to show that even though the CGI is important, it's really the design that's most important. Sometimes producers want to try really modern things, but there are times when the simplest thing is the best thing that works. Is it really that complicated to create an animal in the style of a giant robot? In the special 30th anniversary episode, they created the old Zords with the modern CGI, and they looked amazing. This was the combination of great design and modern technology. As much as we all love those Zords, the reality is that that design doesn't work for a universe aimed at a more mature audience, so the Rangers need Zords that look fiercer and more realistic. Paramount's new Zords should have a bit of Transformers flair, but they should still look like Power Ranger-style Zords. We must remember that the Megazords are very similar to the Transformers, so they must be careful not to create confusion in the audience. We still don't know the theme that the new team will have, even we don't know if that team will have any theme since the 2017 team didn't have a completely defined theme. This is a key thing for the design of the Zord since, if the theme is animals, then the design can be something more concrete and possibly easier to achieve. The reality is that the best Zord designs in the franchise have been animal-themed, and although many fans no longer want these themes to be used, the reality is that it wouldn't be a bad idea to be able to see excellent designs without falling into the 2017 mistake. With artificial intelligence technology, we have created many designs for Zords using animal theming, and I want to introduce you to some of these designs. We must remember that these designs are unrealistic and possibly almost impossible to realize in CGI, but this is part of the beginning of an idea. We see this polar bear for the Zord the White Ranger, a perfect animal to be a Zord as it is strong and fierce. The polar bear is an animal that does not give up easily and is the biggest bear of all. In this design we can see that it keeps its animal shape, but it also has a robotic look, and at the same time it seems to have personality. Because he is a Zord that has been in many battles, his skin is full of scratches and marks from all the battles he has had. This is a very realistic detail that they should add to the new Zords, a technique they also use in Transformers. Next is the Blue Ranger Zord, a giant rhino, a powerful animal that commands a lot of respect. The skin of this animal is very tough, so one of the characteristics this Zord should have is that its metallic skin should be very tough as well. The next Zord is the Yellow Ranger Cheetah, and this is another very skilled wild animal. The cheetah is one of the fastest animals that exists in the world. This means that, if a cheetah selects you as its prey, then you no longer have a choice. In this design we can see that almost all the physical characteristics of the cheetah are maintained and only has some important details that make it a living robot. The next Zord is the Black Bull and would obviously be the Black Ranger Zord. The bull is known to be an animal that is not afraid of fights and will always keep fighting at all times. This design is quite simple in the face part, but the body has a lot of robotic details. One of the most impressive things about this design is that it looks like a real bull and not just a robot. The next Zord is the Red Gorilla, a Zord that we also had in the 1995 movie. This animal is well known for always fighting to protect his family and for being a great leader in the herd. This is the same thing a Red Ranger should do, protect his team and always be a great leader. This design is a little different from the others, and that is that his body looks quite similar to the Ranger costumes. The last Zord is the Lioness of the Pink Ranger, and we all know that this animal is always very wild. The lioness always works as a team, and in this way they manage to catch their prey. In this design we can see all the metallic parts, and the pink color gives it a very modern style. These are some designs that we hope to see with the new Zords, and it is simple to see them in a photo, but if we see them moving in a movie it will be completely different. Write in the comments your favorite Zord, like this video and subscribe for more Power Rangers Zords.